JBN, we keep you informed. Visiting Jamaican ex-cop, likely the first person killed locally in 2020. A visiting Jamaican ex-cop who was gunned down after leaving a party in the corporate area was likely the first person to be killed in Jamaica this year. The deceased has been identified as Ricky Bailey, who resided in Canada. He was allegedly visiting the island for the Christmas season. Reports are that on New Year's Day at about 4 a.m., Bailey left a party that was being held at Sabina Park in downtown Kingston and was walking towards his motorcar when he was pounced upon by armed men. The men opened fire, hitting Bailey multiple times before escaping from the scene. Bailey was later pronounced dead at hospital. A probe has since been launched into the killing. 2 died from crashes in St. Anne and St. Elizabeth. 2 persons died as a result of injuries they sustained in separate motor vehicle crashes in St. Elizabeth and St. Anne on Monday. One of the deceased has been identified as 20-year-old Zonkoy Anchard of New Road District in Westmoreland. The identity of the other deceased is yet to be ascertained. In the first incident, Anchard was reportedly driving his motorcycle along the Clapham Main Road in St. Elizabeth when it crashed. Police reports are that about 10:47 a.m., Anchard was driving along the roadway when the cycle reportedly crashed into a tree. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Anchard's death resulted in an outpouring of grief on social media site Facebook. One of his relatives was first to post the tragic news. Sighs. R.I.P. Zanchoy, I hate bikes. 'Cause you're just gone, so, wrote the relative. A slew of condolences later followed. Yo, from I left Jamaica, I don't hear from you. I don't even see you before I left. Now this is the first thing I am hearing. Miss you, bro, R.I.P., commented one social media user. Meanwhile, a passenger died in a fatal crash along the Discovery Bay Main Road on Monday night. Preliminary reports are that sometime after 8 p.m., the driver of a motor car was traveling on the roadway with the passenger. The vehicle then collided into a wall, resulting in both occupants of the vehicle being injured. They were assisted to hospital where the passenger died. The driver remains hospitalized. Last week, a 2-vehicle crash along the Queens Highway, also in the Discovery Bay area, claimed the lives of 4 persons, including 3 females. The deceased were 39-year-old Andrea Bogle of Lucy Hanover, sisters Lakeisha and Nika Harris, and a 36-year-old Wendy McCain, all of Steertown, St. Anne. It was reported that on Monday, December 23, at about 5 p.m., the 4 persons were traveling in a Nissan Sunny motor car heading towards Runaway Bay when Bogle, who was driving, attempted to overtake another vehicle. The Sunny then reportedly collided with a Land Rover that was going in the opposite direction. The police were alerted and all 4 persons were taken to the hospital where the 3 females were pronounced dead. Bogle, who was admitted for medical treatment, succumbed to his injuries on Tuesday. 2019 tailgates record crash fatalities of 1993. Road safety campaigner Kenwood here is hoping that Jamaica will be able to reverse the massive spike in fatalities from vehicular crashes in 2019, which saw 432 deaths recorded up to Tuesday morning. The figure is 43 more than the tally for 2018 and just too shy of the historic 434 road deaths recorded in 1993. Here, the director of the Road Safety Unit in the Ministry of Transport and Mining said future generations will have a greater role to play in reducing fatal accidents on the nation's roads. It takes at least 3 generations to change a culture, so we are sowing the seeds now with our children, he said recently. We intend to have them be the catalyst for change because we recognize that the adults have not been doing a good job. They are killing themselves and the children on the road. He emphasized that his unit was banking on the children of today to try to achieve its elusive target of under 300 road fatalities in a year, which the country has achieved only once since 2003, with 260 fatalities in 2012. It is on us to ensure that the next generation doesn't come up and do these bad things, he added. He indicated that a greater push will be made through social media campaigns and traditional media, as well as community outreach to get motorists to buy into the road safety message. As of Tuesday morning, December 31, 374 males were recorded as perishing in crashes since January 2019, compared to 58 females. Saturdays overtook Sundays to become the deadliest day on the roads in 2019, accounting for 83 fatalities from 75 fatal crashes. The month of April was the most deadly, with 47 fatalities from 44 fatal crashes. St. Anne 47 also surged ahead in 2019 as the parish with the most fatalities, passing Westmoreland 44, which recorded the most motorcycle-related deaths, 23. Of note too is that for 2 years in a row, motorcyclists have led the category in fatalities, with 132 deaths in 2019 compared to 100 in 2018. Here pointed out that the Road Safety Unit has been making use of the treasure trove of critical information gleaned from motor vehicle black boxes as it looks to strengthen its message. He's appealing to motorists to be more cautious in 2020. One of the things we would like for persons to do is to think about the family. Think about your children, your husband, your wife, your cousin. Think about the family structure, the workplace, and your community that will be affected by your death or injury in a motor vehicle accident, he said. JT Ahead says godlike headmasters also terrorizing teachers. Jamaica Teachers Association President Owen Speed is lamenting the makeup of several school boards across the country, saying that political activists are sometimes stymieing operations and using their power to bully teachers in the public education system. Further, he's charging that some headmasters are running these institutions like gods, paying little regards to teachers' rights and effecting unreasonable punishments, including dismissals without following due process. Speed, whose JTA represents public sector teachers, including principals, is charging that many of these school leaders are acting with impunity. Many of these principals are believing that they are gods for true, and it is a sad reality out there that we are finding that today the school system is engrossed with dealing too much with industrial relations matters. We could have spent all of that time and energy in instructional management and instructional leadership and more to do with the children's learning, he said yesterday in an interview. To drive home his point, the JTA president cited one of many instances in which he believes a protocol was disregarded. I have a letter in my possession right now of a teacher who is disgruntled because of how she was terminated without an appraisal being done, and the reason for the termination that the principal here is citing is deficiency. So if deficiency is the reason cited, then there should have been an appraisal, which a teacher should have signed off on, but that is not done. The process is just not being followed, Speed, the principal of Russell Primary School in St. Andrew, said. He said while principals were to be blamed in some instances, politically run school boards also pose a problem. And not just principals now, because it's not principals who really terminate, it is rubber stamped sometimes by the board. Many times the blame is put on the principal, but it's not the principal alone, it's the board, Speed said. We have too many political activists running school boards, and sometimes they try to intimidate because they have power, political kind of power that they utilize unwittingly sometimes, but they kind of use it to scare the teachers. We have too many boards made up of political activists. Speed, who earlier this year controversially called for a return of the Cat O' Nine to rein in discipline and to lawlessness in the island, also cracked the whip at some teachers, whom he admitted were not innocent. Some of the teachers have some blame to take too. Some of their actions are not as professional as we would have liked them, he said. Country moved further away from Vision 2030, Phillips says in New Year's message. Leader of the opposition People's National Party, Dr. Peter Phillips, says the party will be lobbying for the country's minimum wage to be increased to $12,500 this year. In his 2020 New Year's message, Phillips described the current minimum wage of $7,000 for a 40-hour week as inadequate and a major contributor to the 30% growth in urban poverty. Dr. Peter Phillips' message.
My fellow Jamaicans, today We welcome a new day, a new month, a new year, and a new decade with renewed hope and faith in the indomitable spirit of Jamaicans to overcome and to achieve. As we welcome 2020, let us take a moment to give God thanks for his many blessings which sustained us through a tough year. We also say goodbye to 2019, the end of the second decade of this century, noting its many challenges, trials, and triumphs. One such triumph was the crowning of Jamaica's Toni Ann Singh as Miss World 2019. Her confidence, talent, beauty, and intelligence gave the world a glimpse of the best of Jamaica. In reviewing these 2 decades, we recall proudly launching in 2007 Jamaica's Vision 2030. We committed ourselves then to achieving 4 overarching national goals: empowerment of the people, social security, economic prosperity, and the health and well-being of our people. Unfortunately, as we close 2019, it is clear that the dream of Jamaica becoming the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business is not on course. Let me remind you that in 2011, continued economic decline brought Jamaica to the brink of bankruptcy. Thankfully, at the end of that year, the country changed leadership, creating the opportunity for the implementation of the Economic Recovery Program in 2012. The success of the program restored macroeconomic stability and laid the foundations for sustained economic growth. Jamaica's success became the talk of the world. Through leadership and the sacrifice of our people, we turned a sure disaster into a shining achievement. Sadly, this leadership has not built on the foundations for growth set by the Economic Recovery Program since 2016. Even more disturbing is the fact that social and economic inequality has got worse in our country. This is evidenced by the rise in the rates of poverty, murderous violence in our poorest communities, wide-scale robberies in our cities and towns, and the deterioration of our social services, especially our hospitals. The present minimum wage of $7,000 for a 40-hour week is inadequate and a major contributor to the 30% growth registered in urban poverty. With the significant fall in the value of the Jamaican dollar and the rise in the price of basic items, the low wages keep many workers poor, as does the increasingly widespread practice of treating many full-time workers as contract workers, and thus deny them the fair wages and benefits to which they would otherwise be entitled. Today, I'm giving notice that the opposition will be demanding and fighting for the minimum wage to be increased to $12,500. The spread of violent crime and antisocial behavior continues to drive fear in Jamaicans from all walks of life. For many, the lack of a plan to effectively fight crime has added to their anxiety. Together, we have to find a way to end the culture of violence. Too many of our schools, homes, and communities have been scarred forever by bloodshed. Sadly, as the levels of extreme violence increase, more children, more elderly, and more women have become the victims. Indeed, the targeting of our women in our commercial centers and on our roads has caused paranoia. We cannot, we will not lose hope. Despair and surrender are not characteristic of the Jamaican people. No matter the challenge, we rise to every occasion and we always overcome. Our first national hero, the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, challenged us to realize that upon ourselves depend our destiny. Our future, we must carve out that future, that destiny. To achieve that future in 2020, we must seize the opportunity to change the course we are on. We must recommit to the vision and aspirations of our founding fathers and mothers. We must seek to build our nation on the foundations of democracy, the rule of law, and the kind of economic and social development that offers equal opportunity for every Jamaican. From all appearances, 2020 may be an election year, when we will all be called upon to take important decisions regarding the future of our country. We must take our responsibilities seriously and prepare ourselves to do our duty on behalf of our country and chart the course for a better future. We must look out for the hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans who still exist on the margins of society and who have no access to high-quality education. We must also remember those who are forced to rely on rundown and crisis-plagued health services and who live in squatter communities with inadequate social services and inadequate physical infrastructure. In this new year and new decade, we must launch a national program to foster healthy and harmonious relationships in our homes, our schools, our workplaces, our churches, and our communities. We must transform our education system to give equal opportunity for quality education to every Jamaican child. We are committed to a new national development program that will broaden the base of ownership of land and housing. It will incorporate all, especially workers, farmers, and small business people, providing them with an opportunity to earn a good living. Despite all the challenges, with resilience, tenacity, courage, and good sense, the Jamaican people can build a better and stronger nation. As leader of the opposition, my team and I will continue to be vigilant and hold the government accountable. We will continue to demand transparency, integrity, and an end to corruption. Our people deserve a government that is honest, inclusive, compassionate, respectful, and caring. I call on each Jamaican to stand up and be counted for equal rights, equal opportunities, fairness, and justice for all. My fellow Jamaicans, on this New Year's Day, we call upon our eternal Father to bless our land and guard us with his mighty hand. We wish for everyone a safe, productive, and happy New Year. May God bless you all, and may God bless Jamaica, land we love.
JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.